All right, we had the two long ones go first, so hopefully mine is a bit shorter for you guys. Mine was about financial literacy for teens. I just made a website. It was basically my own research project. Mr. Jane helped me guide and give me ideas of what to put on the website, how I should make it more tailored for teens. All right, so why I chose financial literacy. I love to work with numbers. First year I took honors geometry, and I've just taken as many hard math classes as I can just because I like to. Right now I'm in AP Stats, so that's a fun class. Jack is in it. I think he enjoys it too. I just wanted to do, Nathaniel, you're in it too. I can see you in the back. I just wanted to do something practical that I could use later in life. Nathaniel made an app that he can continue to make. Chaim did something that he can continue to build off of. We'll give him more use later in life as he continues to create more songs, hopefully. So I just wanted to do something practical, something that would help me learn and I could use later in life. Financial literacy is just part of the field I plan to go into. I plan to go to Indiana Wesleyan, hopefully, and I'm going to major in accounting and probably minor in computer science. So accounting is going to help me, financial literacy will just help in that field. So hopefully that's going to work out. All right, so what is the purpose of the website? It's just built to give information on certain aspects of financial literacy. I'll be talking about more of the topics and what's included in that a bit later. It's meant to encourage the reader to go look on more information for the subject because there's a lot of people who know a lot more about the subject than I do. So I want to give a baseline, what they can learn from what I built for them, and then they can go out and research more about any specific thing they want to learn more about. I want them to feel the discovery of finding something new. And then it should be a short read for anyone who really wants to learn about something. If they're interested in that subject, they can go and learn more. So what different areas did I put on the website? It included budgeting, credit reports, balancing checkbooks, difference between savings and checking accounts, loans and debts, taxes, how that interacts with teens, wills and inheritance, and insurance. All right, so budgeting, part of the website was just different ways you can budget, different systems. One way is 50% wants and sorry, I'm saying that wrong. 50% necessities and 30% wants. Then the rest of the 20% is going into either saving for something or paying off your debts. A different one is just zero-based budget. Deliberately use just every dollar you have until you don't have any money left. There's just different ways to go about this, and it's usually up to what they are doing, what's going on in their life at that current moment. Budgeting is mainly about finding what's right for you. There isn't any particular thing that will be best for everyone, so maybe just go and explore what will work best for you. For credit reports, it's what I included in the website was more what's included in credit reports. And I don't know much about this because I don't have to do any of this. I don't think teens will get too much into this. This was just a basic overview for later in life. Some companies will just soft inquiry into it without your authorization, and that won't hurt you at all. It's usually related to your credit score in some way. When they look for that, it's just looking for how new it is, payment history, the amount owed, and how often you have to take credit and how well you pay it back. All right. So for balancing a checking account, it's something we do in Mrs. Erdis's class of accounting. It's been a while since I took that class, but we used a lot of paper notes and just seeing if the accounts equaled each other. I really enjoyed that. That's part of what got me interested into accounting. It's when you want to do it, it's comparing the bank statements against yours, and it helps to check for fraud or like any outstanding payments you have. So if you're someone who mails your money to the bank or something like that, it might not have reached, and that could be why there's a difference between what you think you should have and what the bank is saying you should have. So it's just more, the website just has more information on how you can balance it and how it can help you. And then I had a difference between checkings and savings. First part was what is a checking account and what to look for in one. And it was mainly just looking for like low or no maintenance fees. Most banks will offer a way to waive the fees once you get it anyways. Free access to a large ATM, so it's easier to access any physical money you could need. No or low overdraft fees. Overdraft fees are when you do not have enough in the account to make a transaction. So if you accidentally use money when you shouldn't be using money, that can help. Then what's next is what is a savings account and what to look for in one. That's looking for a low balance requirement. Some banks have like high balances that you need to apply for, like for interest to start occurring. And then look for no fees on it. Some banks will offer bonuses for opening a savings account. So there's some benefits to trying to get your savings and checkings at the same bank, but it's not always worthwhile. Next was loans and debt, and I just included most common forms of debt, which is typically your loans. There are many types of debt, but loans take up most of it. It's usually things like mortgage, credit cards, auto loans, and personal loans. These loans typically need to be paid back by a certain date. And then I also included other ways to accumulate debt. And that was like secure debt, also known as collateral debt. This debt works by having the borrower offer something to replace the debt if they cannot pay. For car loans, the car itself is typically offered. Another one is mortgages. Secured debt is usually used to pay for houses and is typically paid for over a long period of time. In economics, we usually said it's 15 to 30 years just for the purpose of the class. Usually this is the second largest debt after student loans. So. The next was taxes. Should a teen be filing their own taxes? I didn't have to this year. That was in fact done quite recently by my dad for me. There's certain conditions to not having to file your taxes, like being under 19 and not making half of the household income. Living with the filer for a certain amount of time will allow them to file for you. When do they have to file their own taxes? There's a certain payment, like you have to be making a certain amount of earned income, like at a job. I think it's around $14,000 before you actually have to start filing your own taxes. If you're self-employed, that becomes a slight problem. Even just earning $400 can make you start having to file your own taxes. That probably can't be fun, but at most part-time jobs, you will file a W-4 when you start, and your employer will provide a W-2 at the end of the year. This form can help determine your status and dependency. I do have the number. Earning more than $14,300 can result in the teen having to file their own taxes. If you do end up having or making enough money somehow, have someone who knows how to file taxes help you. Don't do it on your own. Your parents probably have enough experience with filing taxes that they can help you. So I imagine they have much enjoyment doing that every year. All right. Next was wills and inheritance, and it was including what is a will and what is the most common form of will. The most common form is a testament will, where you go and you have an attorney help you write it, and you have a bunch of witnesses that can recognize the will. This helps it stand up in court later when you die, and not having any witnesses can make it very challenging. People can challenge that and decide where the money goes instead of you. It's best to do this so that when you die, everything you wanted can go correctly, hopefully. Other types of wills include the holographic will, and this refers to a person writing and signing their own will, but there are no witnesses present. This person is usually trapped in a life-threatening situation, and they just have to write the will as fast as they can. It can work, but only half of the states actually accept this, and it will be easily contested because of the lack of witnesses. And then another one was why have a will? A will covers the bulk of your assets and helps determine custody of any children you have. Like if one spouse dies and they decide to remarry, what happens after that? These wills can be written for free, but that would mean you would have written it yourself, and there are many legal processes to wills that you would want to follow. An attorney will typically ask anywhere between $300 and $1,000, just depending on where you are. And then my last one was insurance. Just what is insurance? It's just a contract in which a person receives protection or reimbursement against losses. I thought it was very interesting because I'd always wondered how they made a profit off of it. So I had fun researching that part of it. It's just finding the average of what they find the average of like how much they think everyone will spend and go a bit higher than that. So they're trying to make money using that. There's typically 3 parts to it. There's the premium. This is usually the monthly cost, what it will actually cost, and takes in information regarding most of your life, like age, credit worthiness, which is your credit score and past claims. Then there's the policy limit, the maximum amount in insurance will pay under that policy, and higher limits can result in higher premiums. So you have to pay a higher price if you want the insurance to pay more for you. And then lastly is the deductible. The deductible is the amount a person has to pay out of pocket before the insurance company will start helping them. This was originally meant to dissuade people from making claims over like small and insignificant things that they didn't really want to pay for. Small things people can probably pay for themselves, and they don't want to have to deal with that all the time. Insurance companies profit by charging the price that's slightly higher than they would expect a person to have to spend. They just try to get a range of people and guess where that can help. Accidents that result in large amounts of spending don't happen often enough that they incur a bunch of losses. And if a family does have accidents, often their price is going to be higher than others. All right, problems with the process is mainly just lack of time. I work after school whenever I can. It's usually 5 to 10:30, and I don't want to be getting home and working on a project after that. First semester was trying to find a way where I could get home and actually do stuff after school and working with the job. So that's when I got most of the project done. I got much busier in second semester. Second semester, I started being in a club after school and just working 4 days a week. But even then, that wasn't great for me, but project was mostly finished by then. And I recently joined volleyball with Kyle. So don't get home until 10 Mondays and Wednesdays. And on weekends, I'm working for most of the time. And we always have practice every day after school. So I don't know how Kyle finds the time for other stuff, but I don't, but it's fine. It did not take me as long to complete this as Nathaniel and Kyle. It probably took me less than 100 hours. It was more of a personal research project for me that I could fill out as I went along. I didn't have too much problem with it. It was just finding the time to do it. And then SE is thank you for coming. Thank you, Mr. Jane, for helping me guide it and find what I wanted to do with it. Any questions?
First of all, I'm sorry, but I'm super proud of you for doing this. He doesn't talk much at home, so. In doing your research specifically on taxes, I know the numbers that you gave were pretty correct on that. Did you have you thought about getting a little bit more advice to throw on there, such as if even if teenagers in particular don't have to file taxes, if they had taxes withheld, they may want to file taxes so they can get a little bit of that money back.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered it. I think this is going to be more of a website that I'm going to continue to build just because I want to. So I'm going to keep adding to it. And part of why I built it was so people could go out and learn more if they were interested in that subject. So if you want to learn about taxes, just provides a baseline. And if you're going to have to file taxes soon, you're going to be going out and researching more about it anyways.
Sure.
Is there a financial literacy class?
That was
Right now?
That was part of why I made it. They are introducing that class to, it was this year's freshmen or sophomores. Do sophomores have to take the class, do you know, Mrs. Erdis?
They're senior. So what will happen is seniors in high school, they have to have economics as their graduation requirement. And the students that are starting in high school next year, they'll have to have this personal finance class instead of economics. So
I think one thing that I really like about your website is that you're kind of, you're giving them a little bit of information, then you're asking them to go and explore more. Maybe one thing that you might want to include is like links that you think were helpful to you, because sometimes there's just so much out there that is not that helpful.
Yeah.
So if you found 4 or 5 that really helped, and I could see that could be like a real good basis for a class like that.
Yeah, so that was part of like the inspiration. I knew the financial literacy class would be being built soon. Part of my original idea was building it to like help the class or like act as a study guide for them, but the class hasn't been made yet, and it probably won't be made for a bit longer. So I found the guidelines for it, but I don't understand the guidelines. So
Do you have an actual website?
yes, I do. I will share it with Mrs. Erdis later so that she can distribute it in however she sees fit.
So you do a lot of personal research to learn about some of these things. What is one big takeaway that you got in learning something new that you learned about financial literacy?
There's always something more you can learn. I'm extremely happy that I don't have to do taxes myself yet. I was told mine were pretty easy, so that was nice. I think just diving into financial literacy and learning more, there's something you can find that will interest you. There's something that will be practical for you no matter what you do. So I'll do Mrs. Walls this time.
If you were going to give advice to other teenagers your age and after college, of the information that you learned, what would be maybe the top bit of advice or 2 top bits of advice that you would get?
Although I didn't go much into it in the website, it'd be looking for scholarships, because I know like going to private schools, my mom is trying to get me to do scholarships whenever I can. I think the cost for like private schools for me is close to $30,000, so I need big scholarships for that. Another one would just be look into taxes early, because that's going to be one of the harder things you have to do later. Find someone who can help you with that. I didn't get an opportunity to, but watch your parents file taxes maybe at some point so that you can learn more about it.
We filed an extension. I'll let you watch when I do ours.
Mom owns a couple
Yeah,
businesses.
we have a couple of businesses.
Do you find yourself with your friends now, like when they're saying something, like wanting to share some wisdom? And have you been able to share some of this stuff you've learned with friends?
Not really. We don't have friends that talk about anything financial much.
It will come in handy.
Yeah. Anything else?
Did you talk about investments at all?
I didn't. I did not have time. That was part of the lack of time aspects. I'm pretty sure it's a topic given to me by Mr. Jane. I just didn't have time to get to it. But I'll continue to add to the website as time goes on. So it'll probably end up there eventually. Mrs. Erdis?
Just a quick question, but now you spoke about your part-time job. Is there a takeaway that you've had from that experience of actually getting that part-time job and then receiving the payments, or a budget that you've set up? And what would be a takeaway that you have from that experience?
My budget is don't spend unless you have to, so that I'm usually gaining like $100 a month because my job doesn't pay much, so I don't have, and I have to pay for everything involving the car. So most of what I get there is going into that. So I'm not making enough to like go into any really specific budgeting plan. But when I first got the job, I was more looking at like how much can I spend a month if I wanted to spend it. So I gave myself a set limit using that, and some would be left over, so it wasn't just staying even the entire time. So, Nathaniel?
When you do make enough money, what's your favorite budgeting plan that you find you like to use?
I don't have one because I've not had an opportunity. It's mainly just spend it on what I have to. I'm probably going to be a person who just saves money and invests it eventually, because I'd rather just keep the money safe until I have something I really need to spend it on. So.
2 questions.
All right.
Where do you work, and when do you do homework? You're at school and then at work.
I work at a Subway on Coldwater. I usually do 5, so I go home for a while because I have to take my brother home after school if I'm not playing volleyball. So once I started playing volleyball, I just work weekends now. So it's usually a 6-hour shift at some point in the day. So then the store closes at 10, and I usually close. So I don't usually get out of there until 10:30.
He's also selling himself a little short when he says he only gets an extra $100 at this point. That's probably correct, but at the beginning, he didn't spend a whole lot because he wanted to save enough to have a cushion in his bank account. So my question is, why are you selling yourself short, I guess?
He actually tracks his money on an app or something, too. It's very thorough.
For context for that, I think the account started with like $600, and that was like in August, and I've definitely more than doubled that by now, what's in it, so.
While making car payments and insurance payments.
Wow.
So. Which leads to Chad's real question. Have you talked to Kyle about all this?
Any other questions? Timmy, I've got one. What's happened to your ping pong game?
I think it stopped a few weeks ago. Volleyball after school every day kind of interferes with that. I don't even think we got to play a tournament this year. We usually hold a tournament at the end. The other school just wasn't very good last year, so I think a lot of people just weren't interested in it this year with Mr. Reinking not being able to do it as much. I think we only had 3 people carry over for us. So even if the people we gained this year who didn't really know how to play, we probably still could have beaten every person from, I forget what school we usually play, but we would have beaten everyone no matter what happened. So Hudson can attest to that. He was one of the 3.